Yo, people, what's poppin'? I hope we're good. Today's episode sponsored by my lovely Greg's. I don't know if I want to be sponsored by them actually. For the
To be
listener, I'm
fair,
holding a
they
Greg's coffee cup.
yeah, but they even have like in Primark now you can buy like Greg's everything.
Greg's
Like,
Crocs.
yeah, they've got a whole Greg's collection, so maybe they're quite good sponsors.
Hmm. Would I want some Greg's Crocs for just being sponsored?
And a cap.
Let me know, people. Would you wear Greg's Crocs? Yes or no?
People wouldn't wear Crocs in general. We're on our own with this one.
I disagree. My clients take the piss out of me for wearing Crocs, and guess what they've gone and bought? Fucking
So,
Crocs.
yeah, but that was just like me and you. If I didn't get you them for Christmas, you wouldn't wear them. Well,
They're
then you,
expensive, bruv.
they are expensive for a bit of like foam.
A bit of fucking rubber dubber. Jesus, that's why I'm not going to buy them. And then your
Any,
mum's bought me a pair.
anyway, really
Yes,
going on.
welcome back, people. Welcome back to episode 7. We're rocking and rolling. Again, quickly, big shout out. Thank you for watching, listening, your support, the comments, feedback, and so forth and so forth. So we'll dive straight into episode 7.
You're not trying to be a bodybuilder, but you are trying to build a body, right? So today we're talking about bodybuilding. But before you switch off because you think, well, I don't want to be a bodybuilder, this isn't for me, that is literally going to be our point of today's podcast, okay? So you might not be trying to be a bodybuilder, but you are trying to build a body, and there's a massive difference between going to the gym and going to train. One of those things is just going to exercise and hoping for the best. The other is about intention, purpose, and measurable progress. And guess which one gets the results? So, in this episode, we're stripping away the stigma, moving away from the meathead narrative of the bodybuilder and bringing it back to the
Meathead,
fundamental.
bro. Fucking meathead.
But we're going to bring it back to the fundamental mechanics of like a physical transformation, showing you the secret to the body you actually want is probably hidden in the very principles that you're afraid of. Okay? So, why are people so afraid of the word bodybuilding? I think
Because
we should
meatheads, bro. We're all
start that
meatheads.
today. Let's go in with that one, shall we?
All meat.
The whole meathead gym bro kind of vibe.
I wonder where it stemmed from. I mean, if you look way back in the day, bodybuilders, I guess it does look more meathead-ish.
And it is very like a stereotype that as well, not just meathead, but what is it? When they've got no brain.
They've got no brain.
You know when you say that somebody looks like an airhead? Just got
Airhead.
air in there. Yeah.
How's this?
What?
What
Is
do
that what is that a word for it? No, you know when you think like somebody looks the part because they go to the gym because they work on their physique, but a lot of I think a stereotype of like that old school bodybuilder is that they've not got a brain cell either. Like
I
then
mean, I kind of agree and disagree.
an element of that still
There is a
probably.
percentage of them are fucking absolutely brain dead and can't have a fucking conversation.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what I was
But
about to say. Unless
some
it was,
bodybuilders are very, very, very intelligent.
well, yeah. So there is that stereotype of the meathead that can't hold a conversation, lives off chicken and rice. Like, if unless you're going to speak to them about bodybuilding, they are not going to have a conversation with you. Let's be honest.
Chicken and rice. No, fish and a rice cake. In the morning, I have fish and a rice cake. In the second meal, I have 3 rice cakes and a fish. To be fair, I don't even know if that's the
You
actual
don't
order.
need to. Yeah,
I'm just saying, everyone knows that meme.
not everyone.
Everyone knows that meme. I guaranteed.
Mm.
Anyways, carrying on.
But then you did make a really good point that there are, a lot of intelligent bodybuilders out there. I mean, they do have to
Right, the
be
sound.
to some extent because, like, more than any other hobby, I don't really want to say hobby because it's not a hobby, it's a sport, isn't it? But if you do it as a hobby, like it is based off science. There is a lot of data and a lot of science, and it is a science-driven sport, wouldn't you say? So there is quite a lot of intellect that comes into it.
No, bodybuilding is very simple sport.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
it does. And I get where you're coming from. I'll know where you're coming from. But the simple basics of fundamentals, it is just training, eating, sleeping.
Yeah, but okay, more so from a coach's perspective then. Like we had a conversation this morning, and you used clients checking as an example, not to me, but to your group, that like the photos side by side might not look different, but you could see a difference because you understand muscular fullness, you understand all these other little elements that like I think again it comes to science and it does even when you make changes like to our plans and foods during prep, you know the effects or the effects you expect them to have on the body, like that
Yeah,
is science.
it does. Yeah, it does. That's why I knew where you was coming from. It does a small percentage of parts, but the majority of it, whether it's fat loss, whether it's building muscle, whatever, right? It is just train hard,
Yeah.
stick to your nutrition, and
And I
sleep.
suppose the bodybuilder themselves, they're not necessarily the coach, are they? Like, that's the thing. Like, the bodybuilder themselves, they just, like me, just get given the plan to do. We don't really know the thought process necessarily behind it or have that knowledge ourselves, but we just have to go with it. It's the coach that I suppose has the brains there, you are right. So that's one reason I suppose people are afraid of the word bodybuilding and to, kind of put that label on things. But I suppose going off that, there's the extreme visuals of it as well. I think again, like you said, looking back at where did this meathead idea come from? It's again looking at all the old school bodybuilders, obviously the pros and the people out there that look almost like freaks. How can I say that? Like freaks of nature to the average person. Yeah, but they do. And they, the ordinary person, they don't look human. They're so muscular, they're so shiny on stage, and like veins popping everywhere. Like I do think that to so many people that is extremely unnatural, and it is. It is unnatural anyway. But then too many ordinary people assume that the bodybuilding approach and the bodybuilding process literally exclusively leads to that outcome. Like they just think practicing and living like bodybuilder will lead to that crazy.
Yeah, but it doesn't. Are we talking males or females?
Both. I mean, I think females have more of a preconception about the fact that they don't want to get too bulky. I don't think many guys are worried about gaining a bit of muscle. Do you know what I mean? Most of them want to do that to an
I
extent.
feel like, well, when I think of it that way, women don't want to get too bulky, not going to happen. Men want to get bulky, but do it completely wrong and just gain fat.
Yeah.
That's probably the difference I see.
I feel like obviously predominantly I do work with women and I do find it extremely frustrating that so many of them do think that, you know, lifting a few like almost pathetic weights, and that sounds so horrible.
Yeah.
But they do think that they're going to do that and then build all this muscle and look bulky. And what you've just said about men gaining too much body fat in the process, like, if we're going to be completely honest, most people that start weight training and they blame that for becoming bulky, it's not the muscle they've built that's making them look bulky. It's the body fat on top of that that is making them look bulky and feel uncomfortable. It's not, they've not built muscle at that rate to suddenly be like, oh, I'm too bulky, I'm too big, I don't like how I look. Like, you don't like how you look because you've built a bit of muscle, which is good, that was what you wanted to do, but you've also gained a lot
Especially
of
in
body.
your first, sorry, ladies, especially when you're doing it for about a few weeks and you go, oh, I feel a bit bulky. No, just stop it, please. Just pack it in. It's ridiculous. Like, if you have a coach similar to us who's been in this industry for a very long time, helping people with all sorts of goals and transformations, and it's taken us 6, 7, 8 years to get bulky, build muscle, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And you think within 2, 3, 4 weeks you're gonna start popping muscles left, right, and centre? Yeah, just stop it.
And what's crazy to me is I spoke about it on my stories, didn't I, the other week, that like women compliment me and they think it's a compliment when they tell me that like they think I look, they like my physique and they like my body because I don't have much muscle. But then I'm like, but then they stress out about like I don't know, lifting bloody above 18 kilos on the leg extension because they think they're going to end up with massive quads and thunder thighs. Yeah, I've just done whatever sets of 50 odd kilos. Yeah, I'll get off and they'll just be like, oh, but you're just so perfect. You don't look that muscular. Like you've just got the balance just right. And I'm like, but I'm lifting so much more than you. I'm so much smaller than you. Is that not sending you the message that in order to get anything like these results, you need to be lifting weights? Like, mad. But yeah, no, I don't think bodybuilding isn't the reason people get bulky and dislike what they look like. It's actually probably the solution to it, because if they actually followed it through and did the bit of the build, gained a little bit of muscle, and then stripped it back and reduced the body fat, which is still part of the process, they would probably quite like what they
It
look like.
ultimately comes down because it's hard.
Yeah.
Oh, it's too heavy. It's hard. Oh, that hurts. Oh, I'm sore the next day.
That was one of my questions for later on, but I feel like I'm going to ask it now, is like, is it the fear of getting too bulky that is actually people's concern when it comes to training hard enough and lifting weights? Or do you actually think that it's just a convenient excuse to kind of stay in their comfort zone, and they're not actually afraid of the muscle, they're afraid of the hard work it requires to achieve that, but then also to maintain it as well?
I'll say it about my female clients right now. When they learned what training hard was and they had to get over the fact, like, yes, it is hard. Yes, it does take discipline. Yes, it might hurt. Yes, you will get used to managing it better. It doesn't get easier, but you'll see the results and the progress that you want, that you didn't want to do the work for because you didn't want to look a certain way yet, but that's required to look the way that you tell us when we set the plan. So, yeah, they realise, oh, I realise what now training hard is. Yeah, so stop thinking that 5 kilo dumbbell is going to make you bulky.
And that's the thing, I think that moves us on to kind of like the last point as well, as why people are so afraid of the word in the term bodybuilding is that, but also because the vanity around it. Yet, really, ultimately, people's goals are an aesthetic goal to an extent. Like, I think they think bodybuilding is such a ego-driven kind of vain sport in comparison. Say you have somebody that's saying, oh, I'm training to run a marathon, that's still their choice, right? That's their choice of sport. They're training to do that. They'll put all their time and effort into fueling correctly, into training how they need to, for, like, yet someone's doing it for a goal that is purely aesthetic, and it's suddenly seen as very ego-centered and vain. But it's no different to when, and you hate this word, to when clients say to us, they want to lose a bit of body fat and they want to tone up, or they want, that's still,
yeah,
but it's still an aesthetic.
We're not using that word on here.
We're not using it, but we're going to be using it, but it's still an aesthetic goal at the end of the day. When you put the term bodybuilding on that, people think all of a sudden it's more than just a goal, but into like a bit of a self-obsession kind of thing. And I do think, like, yeah, I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of vanity around bodybuilding.
Yeah, but God, I might shoot myself in the foot for saying this. But again, going back to the females, because this just came into my head, doing the mate spending hundreds and hundreds on makeup to make themselves look better and feel better. Sorry, girls, I've hit a nerve there, but it's true.
Also, like, I also don't like the fact that bodybuilders get that kind of criticism of the fact that they just look a certain way and there's no functionality, there's no, like, don't get me wrong.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna interrupt because I want to say something important before it goes on my head.
Okay.
I worked in commercial gyms and I worked in what people call bodybuilding gyms, but they're not. The difference is commercial gyms, and I'm sorry because I've fucking worked in them and I coached you a lot of coaches out in those side of those gyms. There's more assholes in those commercial gyms than gyms that people actually want to fucking work hard, train hard, and have a fucking meaning behind what they're doing. And going back to the bodybuilding narrative, I've had clients when I've changed gyms leave. Cool, that's completely fine for the right reasons. There's no issue with that. But because, oh no, that's a bodybuilding gym. I will tell you now, more my lifestyle clients have been helped in gyms from so-called bodybuilders than they have general fucking people. Because they understand what it takes, the dedication, the discipline, the hard work, and they just want to help people be better.
And it's that saying in it, I can't remember the saying, like, from word for word, but it's to do with, like, a bodybuilder would never laugh at someone starting out on their fitness journey or starting to, learning to train, lift weights, taking their meal prep somewhere. Like, someone who is above them in that journey would never look at someone below them and laugh or take the piss out of them because they know what it takes and they know what they're doing.
Now,
The same Like entrepreneurs will never laugh at someone who's, excited about starting a business. It's all the people that will take the piss or the people that will mock you are the people that are probably below you and struggling themselves.
Yeah, and guess where you find them? In the fucking shitty commercial gyms. I'm sorry, it's true. I've worked in commercial gyms for years. I have the right to be able to say that. I've heard more negative comments in commercial gyms than I have in gyms like we train at that were full of people like say I want to get in, get stuck in, and get the results themselves.
And I think like what I was about to say, and I'm not going to say it before you butted in because you did politely ask if you could say a point. But what I was going to say before you butted in was that even this whole image around bodybuilders not being like physically fit, not being functional, not being everything else, they're just a massive. No, and to an extent, I get it. Like to an extent, they're
No,
not
I'm
fit.
laughing because it is me. I get it.
We know that.
I'm not as fit as what I play football, but that's not my goal right now.
No, but then there's also, I think, it's not as extreme in that sense as people also think. Like they're speaking of commercial gyms, like and not naming any names, but one of the PTs at Pure Gym, at our gym, made a comment a while ago now to me because they're not really into bodybuilding. They don't really get it. I don't think they're a massive fan of it. But we were doing this challenge thing and I like did a pistol squat, did whatever. And you all know I teach yoga, do all of that. Like I've got mobility, I've got strength, I've got balance. And she was in shock that I could do a pistol squat. And I could do it quite easily. I've been doing them for years. Like it's not. And then her comment to that was, oh, so you can do more than just look pretty on stage then. And it was like, there is so much more to it than that, but so many people have the impression that it is just about looking good in a glitzy bikini, smiling
Hey,
on stage.
I can fucking touch my toes, bruv. People don't think I can do that. I fucking can. I would show you right now, but there's no fucking room. Hang on, shall I do it?
They've all seen that bloody video of you trying to stand up from crossed legs when
Oh,
you've
you can't see me properly though, bruv.
no,
You. See? Touching my fucking
nobody
toes.
can see. There's nothing to see.
I got my slippers on though. Here you go. Touch my toes.
Moving on then, stripping it all back.
That baby. That sounds a bit naughty, doesn't it?
Why do you always do that?
I can't help myself.
Yeah, but you don't do it when it's just me and you. It's like you've got an audience, so you're going to play up to it and be a bit like, ooh, risque.
Yeah, crazy. Do you see how she's just dug me out there because she's lying? Because I do it more behind the scenes than anything. You
Really
little
want to
lie.
admit to that.
What, strip it all back?
No, doing it more behind the scenes. Moving on, foundations and principles of physique development. So forget bodybuilding. Let's just park that to the side right now. When is it rude to call people average people? When the average person like comes to us, what is their physical goal? And that's I just want to look like I actually go to the gym.
I'm interested to know what that actually looks like.
Well, that translates to me as like firm, athletic, a little bit sculpted. I won't
What
use
does
the
that
word
even look like though?
like somebody you would look at them in the street and be like, yeah, they go to the gym. They've got muscle definition.
I remember though, it used to be a thing years ago. People were like, "Oh, I just want to look like I've got a beach body." What
Yeah,
the
I
fuck
don't know
does
what
that?
that is.
More of a mental. I think it's just like abs, isn't it? I don't know.
Like
Like what does that?
Baywatch,
What?
like
Baywatch?
Baywatch.
Yeah, maybe.
Or like when James Bond walks out the water,
Right. I think there's a fantasy just coming out here. Jesus Christ. You
and
know
they've
when
all
James
men.
Bond walks out the water. Yeah.
Well, I wasn't touching my chest like that, was I? Oh, you've got an issue with like what?
What else does that? Oh, X on the beach.
Yeah.
Remember that? And they walk out the water.
Ooh, that was quite a juicy show, that wasn't it? Toxic, love it.
Hey, I'm sorry, I'm going off on a fucking tangent now.
Wow.
My fucking autism ADHD's kicking in real bad. What? Anyways,
I've
yeah.
announced that to the general public.
You what?
This is self-diagnosed, by the way. He's not actually been.
Only because you lot say I've got it, so I'm just running
Yeah,
with it.
well, you might, but it is only self-diagnosed.
Yeah, anyways, right, my point here, we're speaking about walking out the water. I'm going to tell you a little story now, guys, right? Of James Bond coming out the water, except for it's not James Bond. This is Devon. We're in Dominican. Did we have a bicker?
It won't walk out the water, it's the wave.
No. I think we must have had a little of a bicker in the sea, right? So Devon storms off to get out, right? See a big wave coming. I'm not saying anything. I've jumped the wave. I've still not said anything. And fucking this wave just fucking absolutely took her out. To the point, actually, I was quite shocked. I was like, oh shit,
I
that's
was
really...
under the water for a long, long
You
time.
just see her go, boom, straight in. This massive wave took her. She comes up, she's like,
Honestly, no way.
and next thing is, where's my glasses?
No, you've
I've
missed
lost my
out.
glasses.
You have missed out the most vital part. I mean, I was upset about my glasses,
Why,
but
what's the...
I came up out the water far from a sexy Bond girl because I came up. Do you remember? Because I had false eyelashes on. I had an eyelash stuck to my cheek here, like the full strip of eyelashes. My whole bikini top had like just done a full shift this way, so I had two tits out with the bikini like top there. And honestly, I came out of the water like coming back from the dead with my eyelashes stuck here, but I didn't care about this or this. I'll look to state because my Stella McCartney sunglasses were not on my head anymore. I lost them and obviously never got
And if
them.
anyone knows me, you'll know I didn't ask if she's okay. I was just laughing. And it deserved the right for fucking arguing with me.
It was funny, but
Calm as a bitch.
I could have nearly died. I mean, I'm lucky. The worst thing to happen was to lose my sunglasses.
Holiday fucking removed. What?
Lose my sunglasses and my dignity. But yeah,
No, you lost that a long time ago, but anyways.
yeah, from the minute I got with you. Right.
Go on. Yeah, what did you say 3?
Back to my original question before I got carried away there. The 3 things that it requires mainly to achieve that kind of athletic, firm, sculpted look that most people come to us wanting.
What, the beach bods? Just want to go to the gym. Look like I go to the gym, please.
We've already said that.
What are the 3 things? Ooh, 3 things. There's a couple more you could add in. Training, nutrition, recovery are the basic fundamentals that everybody needs to know. You're probably going to ask me, what does that require? What does that mean?
Well, yeah, because you can't just say training. It's very vague. Like that. If someone said to you, "I want to look like I need to build muscle," because obviously we know that is a requirement to achieve that aesthetic.
Well, it depends what, physique... Sorry, the physique development... You could go so many different ways. Is that fat loss? Is that building muscle? One, it depends obviously the position that you're in. But if we're going off the average clients that comes to you and says, I want to look like I just go to the gym or I want that beach body. Okay, we've pretty much got a rough idea what that kind of looks like because we've heard it so many fucking times, right? So then we lay the structure out. So, speaking of structure, that goes into your training and going, okay, this is what's required. Training structure, volume, frequency, intent, split, targeted areas, etc., etc. You can go into a whole lot of depth for that. But if we go too much into that, I think that will overwhelm a lot of people. But yeah.
Well, yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. For some people, that probably is quite a lot of depth already. Like, I do think a lot of people just think going to the gym and lifting weights from A to B, so they're getting a little bit stronger, is enough to actually see their physique change. And it's not. It needs to be a lot more intentional and targeted than that, doesn't it? And we know that, which is why people follow training programs and progressive training programs. You can't just willy-nilly do what you fancy in the gym and expect to see your body change. But obviously that's from the building the muscle perspective. But to reveal that muscle then, like you've just touched on there, some people need to drop a bit of body fat. So that's when the nutrition, the activity levels, everything else comes into it as well.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but just for the listeners and watchers, by the way, them 3 principles, training and nutrition recovery, don't necessarily change just because of what phase you're in, whether it's fat loss or building muscle. The same principles apply. The only difference is you'll be in a surplus or you'll be in a deficit.
Yeah, but then managing, that's what I'm saying, but managing the amount of body fat you have, not necessarily low body fat, I'm just saying managing your body fat throughout them phases comes down to your nutrition and your output.
Yeah, comes to a lot of factors, yeah.
So the 3 main things there is building the muscle, managing the body fat to whether you want to, get leaner and reveal that or not, and, your intentional training, which I suppose falls under building the muscle, and then rest and recovery, which again falls under building the muscle because you need that rest and recovery in order to do that.
Yeah, but rest and recovery can come in a lot of things as well. I wasn't just thinking recovering from training. I was thinking, right, recovering from training, sleep, stress, digestion, like recovery comes from many, many, many different places that people might not be aware about.
Right,
But
and
again,
all
well,
of that is required to see the changes in your physique and the physical transformation, even though it seems as simple to some people as just losing a bit of body fat, building a little bit of muscle, they'll be happy with that. All them things we've just discussed are required, and in that much depth as well, realistically.
yeah, but that's not overcomplicated. Don't get me wrong. The three principles of train hard, eat decent. Again, we can fucking argue what that looks like. Surplus, maintenance, depending on what the goal is. Good recovery. I always add in good digestion, gut. People don't understand that, to be honest, which is not frustrating, but a lot of people don't understand that. Like, oh, I can just eat what I want as long as I'm in a surplus or in a deficit. Yeah, just fucking fuck the digestion and gut up, and then wonder why they don't respond very well. But yeah, those three principles are simply the basics, aren't they?
Okay, so then what are if you strip away the tan, the stage, the sparkly bikinis, and the little shorts, briefs, pants, whatever you guys wear, if you strip all of that away, yeah, if you strip all of that away, then what are the three main principles or pillars of bodybuilding?
Literally the same.
That's my point exactly. So training, nutrition, and recovery.
Yeah. So bodybuilding, or building a body, building shape, toned, whatever you want to freaking call it.
It is the process and the principles are identical.
They're all the same.
The difference is, yes, you do it to extremes. Yes, there are more variables you need to take into consideration if you are bodybuilding at a competitive level. But ultimately, the foundations are the same. And I think the more willing you are to accept that, the more you'll actually probably see more progress. Even if you're not trying to be a bodybuilder, you're not trying to step on stage. If you train like you're trying to be a bodybuilder and you fix up your nutrition like you're trying to be a bodybuilder, you don't have to do it at about 60-70%, and you're still going to see some progress in the right direction, because you don't need to be doing it at 101% like bodybuilders do.
Depends on the results you want to guess, but yeah.
But I was thinking about this earlier. God, you can't see me in this sunlight.
Sun is shining.
I shouldn't complain, should I? I was thinking about this earlier when I was writing these notes for this podcast. Is like, I didn't, obviously, when I started competing, we hadn't really done, like, and we've mentioned this before, like, I hadn't done a strategic build phase or anything like that. I wasn't like building and trying to develop my physique like a bodybuilder with that in mind. But when I think about how it probably worked to an extent, was because I was following these principles without really realizing they were principles of bodybuilding. I was following them, and that's why my body was developing, my physique was developing, my body was changing, and I was successfully building muscle and doing all those things, because without realizing it, I was following those principles. And it wasn't until I started prep, and to be honest, nothing really changed apart from putting me in a slight calorie deficit and adding a bit of cardio, food-wise, and adding a bit of cardio in. And yes, I had to be a lot more conscious and aware of food choices and quality and things like that, for the reasons Jordan said, with digestion and utilising the foods. But in terms of my structure of my training and my day-to-day life, things didn't actually it was just a smooth transition into prep. It didn't change that much, which was my kind of light bulb moment of, shit, I was doing this already, just to a lower standard, or lower, not even standard, just don't know the right word, but
yeah.
So when, a lot of people say to me, like, oh, it's only since bodybuilding that your physique's really changed. Like, it's not. My physique changed. The bodybuilding just revealed it. Yes, had I been following a set plan and purposely been trying to build muscle and doing it properly, it wouldn't have taken me 6 years, probably, to build and change my physique as much,
No, but it's a perfect example of someone doing it for years and they go, wow, I just don't know why I can't stick to it. I never get results, and I'm always back and forth and yo-yoing and all that crap that they call it. You can relate to that from the point of going, you can do it for years and years and still get okay-ish results. But the moment someone goes, this is the principles and the structure that's needed, it's no different, the intent is just different.
Yeah. And then people see that,
and then people see that, and then they think you've done that within Oh, you've done that only in 6 months? No. That's just the icing on the cake.
Yeah, and even in my first timers, because if you remember for that photo shoot on my first timers, you didn't even do my training program. I stuck to my training program that I'd been doing for the years and months building up to that pretty much, because we didn't plan on it, so we stuck to what we knew and what I knew.
So we've had to change it now because you always had fucking injuries, niggles,
Yeah,
and
and
yeah,
because
for specific areas.
and this is when it changes from becoming just training and actually bodybuilding is like you've just said, for my category and for what I'm doing, there is specific areas that need extra attention. So yes, my training program now has to get a lot more specific. But go on.
Excuse me, I just choked on water. That's just reminded me, going off the nutrition, which is one of the principles. How many people think bodybuilding is extreme to the point where you have to eat chicken and fucking rice every day, like we've mentioned? Yeah, what did I do with you? Macros only.
Yeah, still now. I mean,
Now,
technically,
go on.
no, because I don't know what you was about to say.
Technically, what?
Like it was macros and it still is to an extent. And it was even in my second prep. But through the process of doing that, it has become kind of set meals and a meal plan, but not because Jordan gave me that from the get-go, but because through my knowledge and through doing the macros and through adjusting my meals, I got to a point, especially in the second prep, where I'd kind of cultivated my own meal plan based off the macros it gave me
But
over time.
let's touch on that because that's important as well. People think, well, I'm in a deficit, I'm in a surplus, and they're just fucking putting whatever in the macros.
Yeah, well, that,
This is the big difference, right? Because you was given macros on the basis that I know that your intention isn't going to be fucking trying to slam burgers in that. It was the intention of going, you know what quality protein is. Yes, I had to give you some bits of going, right, these are the fats, these are the carbs, these are the protein sources and micronutrients. And I'm not going to go into the boring fucking
no,
scientific.
and I'd say like you taught me, even though it was macros, you taught me to take into more consideration like meal timings and when, even like, especially in prep when you're getting hungry, like, what to eat before I go to bed, that's going to help with that and all that stuff. But that's what I was about to say, is that over time I cultivated probably my own meal plan that fit my macros and that I could easily adjust as my calories and my macros changed. But I naturally ended up going for the same foods and pretty much eating the same meals every day because I knew I learned what digested well, what sat well in my body, what was, allowed me to perform at my best in the gym, when to eat around my training. So it did become a set meal plan, but not forced upon me through learning myself and learning with Jordan. But yeah, the quality of food and where your food comes from, I'd never probably thought about it so much as I did in prep. And I think like what Jordan was saying, we think, we're in it. I've done photo shoot preps with clients since, and I forget that like they're still in that process and need to learn. And so many of them think, I'm in a deficit, but if I can make it fit my calories, I'm going to make it fit. And it can be the worst quality of food, and it doesn't serve any purpose.
Yeah.
And I just
Because you also haven't got time to waste. When you're in a deficit, if you're striving to very, very big goals for yourself, whether that be a photo shoot, stepping on a stage, whatever, even fucking looking mint for your holiday, right? The same principles apply, but you have to understand those fundamentals because I've had a client, like say, they went and had a fucking Subway. 3 days later, they're moaning me like, oh, my stomach's really hurt and bloated, I'm not sure what from. Because they're so used to thinking, oh, well, macros is just fitting in macros, that shouldn't be an issue. But what they don't realise that they've not had that meal or that food option for a very, very long time. What was working perfectly. As soon as you go add in something that you're not used to, your body's not going to like it.
this leads
So,
me on to my next
I
point.
ain't finished, sorry.
Sorry, go on.
Also adds on to the point of when people go, oh, why do you always eat the same meals? I have to be very clear on this, right? Because people want too much flexibility. But people see the results that people get and then wonder why I ain't got that. The basic principles work. They found and figured out going, right, that really works on me. Why am I going to change it? If I am going to incorporate something flexibility, maybe look into something that works well with me.
I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit here.
Go on, bitch.
Not towards that as such, but obviously going back to the main point of this episode in this podcast is like this, the stigma around bodybuilding then. So that takes the food thing not to the extreme, but yeah, it does a little bit because lifestyle clients will be thinking, well, a calorie is a calorie. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's not.
To an extent it is, yeah. But this is also a very good point. We live in a world, sorry, I keep interrupting. We live in a world where people are so used to. I've had it so many clients. Oh no, no, my digestion's good, my digestion's good. Then when they actually follow a plan or structure that I've given them with nutrition, they go, oh, I feel so much better. And then when the things I was having before, they go, oh shit, that makes me feel like shit. Yeah, because your body was just so used to that, you forgot what actually good feels like.
Well, yeah, because people are like chronically inflamed through the shitty food that they eat, but they don't realize because they've been doing it for so long, like we say. But what I was going to say and go back to is obviously the stigma around bodybuilding and that side of things, especially the nutrition, but even the training to an extent. Like people then like to say that us that eat maybe the same meals every single day and are very aware of what we're eating, count everything, weigh everything, that it's disordered eating.
Mm.
And the reason we're so maybe obsessed as well with our aesthetical goals is body dysmorphia. Like I feel like that is the negative narrative around being that conscientious about your food intake and about your calories and your macros and everything else. People have labeled it nowadays as disordered eating. And I think that's another reason people are so reluctant to do it to that extent and with that intensity, because A, they think it might be triggering, but B, I suppose we have labeled it, people do label it as that, whereas like I can come from the angle of I've had an eating disorder. And it's very different. Having an eating disorder and trying to eat below 1,200 calories a day whilst training 8 hours a day at ballet school and living off black coffee. The difference is that when I had an eating disorder, I didn't care about fueling my body, about performance, about anything else. I cared about staying under that calorie goal and no matter what cost. I didn't care about protein. I didn't care about fueling myself. Like I say, I lived off cigarettes and black coffee at dance school a lot of the time. Had injuries because I was under fueling. Like that was basically starving myself to look a certain way. Now, yes, I'm aware of my calories and I'm aware of my food intake, but I'm actually trying to I see my food as almost a currency now. Like I am trying to get the most from my calories and my foods as possible through digestion, through performance, through how I can use it. Like I see it as an exchange of like, how can I utilize this to get the best out of myself? It's a very different narrative. So I
Mm.
think, yeah, but I think that is a massive stigma. People think bodybuilding, especially in prep, it's just starving yourself, and it's not.
No, again, if we go back to how many people that are put on stage, again, going to Eva, the recent one, people think she's on stupid low calories, a lot of cardio, and so forth and so forth. She's never been past 1,700 calories, and she's never done more than 4 times a week cardio, and steps have never been above 12K. By the way, that is very average for most people trying to get in shape and lose body fat or whatever the goal is, right? So the difference is it's the intent and the principles that.
Yeah, it's the intensity and it's the consistency, because most people will say, but I only eat that much. I get 12K. So yeah, you probably do it for a few days and then you fuck it off and then try again. That's the difference.
8 months straight.
Yeah, yeah,
That's the
exactly. So, I did have a couple more questions, I think. Oh, that was another one, a bit of a random question. And I see it quite a lot. I have it with quite a few clients as well, that like people follow bodybuilders or influencers that have a bodybuilding background for motivation, for training ideas, for nutritional ideas, but then they'll go ahead and tell everybody that they don't want to look like that. Like I get it a lot. People follow me and my clients say, you're so inspirational, but then they turn around and say, but I'd never want to look like that because it's too muscular, it's too, do you know what I mean? Like I think, why do people do it? Like people love to follow bodybuilders and to follow their expertise and to utilize their knowledge, but then turn around to people and be like, oh, but I'd never want to look like that.
Just misunderstanding, but I've had it where people say, oh, I really want to look like you, but they're not willing to do what I've done together. They're not willing to put in the work, the training, food, nutrition, whatever you want to call it, the recovery, all the principles that we've just been speaking about.
And I think prep is an illusion as well. Like when you see people stage lean, I think my friends, because they've never been around like bodybuilding or anything like that, they were really shocked when they saw me after prep. Because none of them saw me in prep, they just saw what I posted on Instagram, and they couldn't believe how muscly they were. Like I remember one of my friends commented under my photos, being like, "My best mate's absolutely jacked." Like they thought I looked massive, and it was probably the tiniest I have ever been. And like my friend who sort of met me after prep was quite in shock at how little, because they only see the pumped up version that's going on stage that's really lean. She couldn't get ahead of her. She thought she was going to see me for coffee after prep. And obviously I was still lean-ish. She thought I was going to be like proper, because that's what she thought I looked like in my photos. And then she saw me and I was like just a tiny little thing. And I think, like, again, there's that concept misconception that how you see photos, because you can see all the muscles, all of a sudden you think they're too muscular.
Yeah, it's an illusion because you're doing it for one specific day. That's it. Like everything that goes into that. It's the same with any client results. Like they want to look a specific way. So whether it's a photo shoot or whatever, right? The aim, no matter what happens in between, the aim is to get a fucking perfect look as possible for that. Then when people go, I want to look like you all the time. You don't want to look that stupidly all the time. It is not healthy. It is not fucking good for you. It's not survival.
And I'll say from a female
If I showed you my belly now, oh,
to be honest, like I'll say it from a female perspective, but I don't know if many females do actually look at athletes and bodybuilders and be like, oh, yeah, I want to look that lean. I don't necessarily think it's as appealing for women. But I will tell you now as well, I didn't like I liked how I looked obviously for the sport and to step on stage because I was, happy in the package we bought and it was a lot of hard work. But outside of that environment, it was probably the most unconfident I've felt in my body because I didn't feel feminine. I didn't feel sexy. I didn't feel confident in any clothes other than gym clothes. I thought all my other clothes looked disgusting. And like, that's the reality of it as well. Like they see and like, you look amazing, da, 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 da. Like when I'm all lean, when I'm dolled, got my bikini on, do all of that. But if I'm being completely honest, it was, yes, I was confident in my ability because of what I'd achieved, but was I confident in my body and how I looked? No, I didn't like it.
See, I'm the opposite way around. After I've had my tan after show day, I try and keep it for weeks and weeks. I'm like, I look mint, bro. I'm gonna keep this in
That's
tan.
what I'm saying. I do feel like it's quite different from men and women because a lot of men would like to be quite muscly and shredded. A lot of women,
But
they
also,
want,
I'm going back off that because when you do go through prep as a man and you're very, very, very flat because you need to be to get fucking lean, it's not nice. You feel like, oh my god, I'm skinny.
well, to wrap it up, because I am conscious that we are, as always, kind of just going on and on and on. To summarize what we've said, I guess, like people, you are all, for those listeners, you are potentially gatekeeping your own progress by kind of playing ignorant to what your physical goals actually require. And I feel like you don't need to have the goal of taking it to that next level, stepping on stage, even doing a photo shoot. You don't need to have that as your goal, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't be training in a way that actually guarantees results because the foundations, as we've said, the principles of bodybuilding, if you stick to them and you do them and you apply them, you are guaranteed a result to a level. Obviously, the level you get that result to depends on what you put in, but you are guaranteed a result. So I don't know why you are gatekeeping yourself from making that progress by being like, oh, but I don't want to be a bodybuilder. I'm not doing that. Fucking do it and you'll actually get somewhere, to be honest. But I feel like, yes, labeling it as bodybuilding, the flip side to that is, I suppose if you label it as something like bodybuilding that has such a stigma, that has such a title, do you think, I mean, it could be setting a standard that you're not willing to commit to as well? I do think as soon as you kind of set that standard of what you're wanting to achieve, it seems scarier. You don't want to commit to it. I think saying to your friends and saying to yourself, oh, I'm just going to the gym to lose a little bit here or to tone up, whatever, sounds way more appealing to the average person and it keeps you safe and comfortable than being like, no, I'm fucking hitting the gym because I want to change this physique. I want to lift some heavy weights. Like I think that makes it sound daunting and scary. So sometimes I think, yes, you're gatekeeping and you just need to commit to it. But then secondly, like, don't be scared to set yourself to a high standard. What Jordan does. Leads from the front, raises the bar, like gets his clients to commit to a slightly higher standard. And that's why they all go on to potentially do photo shoots or preps because they're already applying the principles that it requires to take it there. And then you've always got that option if you do want to step it up a notch. But Yeah.
Sound. I think we'll leave it there then, won't we? But yeah, the principles apply. So if you want your results, if you want to call it tone, sculpt, build muscle, lose body fat, whatever it is, train fucking hard, eat fucking decent, and recover well.
Pretend to be a bodybuilder. Just have that mentality that you're pretending to be. I'm joking.
No. Right, let's leave it there. In a bit, people.